I'm going to start this video off by telling you a little bit of a secret, something that you would have never guessed was true about me, except for the fact that I've said it probably multiple times on this channel. I don't care about the First Lady. Not just this specific First Lady, but any First Lady. I don't care at all whatsoever. These are not interesting people to me. Call me old-fashioned, but I believe that the person actually elected to do the job and what they do in the job they were elected to do actually matters, and the person that they happen to marry doesn't actually matter. I know, shocking, I know there might be some Democrats out in the audience who think that the First Lady is like the co-president, they try to pull that with Hillary Clinton, or there might be some people who love sucking up to Michelle Obama despite the fact that she's completely irrelevant to Barack Obama's policies, and you're romanticizing her because you're like, First Lady of a Democrat, yay! I know you try to run a First Lady for president, and that didn't really work out for you, but trust me, this position is not a relevant one, and I am faced with Democrats all the time, hyping up First Ladies on a national or local level. I got one of those mayors, Bill de Blasio, who thinks his wife is the co-mayor, so much so that he gave her $1 billion, which she incinerated and has no record of where that money went. But personally, for me, and I'm sure for many of you, at least 5% of you, the First Lady should probably not be that relevant to a person's administration. They probably shouldn't be in charge of policy, and they probably shouldn't have a legacy, because who the hell cares about the person that the person who was elected decided to marry? But alas, we don't live in a logical world. We don't live in a sensible world. We don't live in a world that has another synonym for logical or sensible. We live in a world of crazy people, where they decide that the First Lady is inherently relevant to the office as long as you can throw shade on them, and as long as the First Lady is attached to a president with an R next to their name. And this brings us to our most fascinating, not fascinating story of the day, and that, of course, is the Melania Trump tapes. The tapes that Melania Trump's bestest, closest friend, or one of her friends, decided to secretly record to leak to the media years later ahead of the election, like a normal, rational friend would, am I right? Now, I didn't want to cover this story. I wasn't really interested in this story. I was not going to make a video about this story. But then people started telling me that the First Lady tapes actually make her sound awesome, so I decided to actually watch the CNN segment. And I have to say, after listening to the segment, after listening to the tapes, after listening to Melania Trump, in her own words, a person I do not care about whatsoever, she is definitely kind of awesome, because the tapes are hilarious, and I think I agree with everything that she possibly could have said and meant in the tapes, and I think this is a non-story, and if you're going to make a story out of this, it's that Melania Trump is actually low-key one of the very few awesome First Ladies. Now, the segment's on CNN, which is an alleged news network that has their face so far buried up Michelle Obama's you-know-what, and that makes it extra juicy if you're going to watch it. And the first part of the segment is Melania Trump being asked by a person who was secretly recording her and trying to bait her into saying bad things so she could sell this story to the press later about her legacy. And Melania Trump responds the way that every single person in history who is a First Lady should respond to questions about their legacy.
That's fine. Who supports Melania? You do have a legacy.
Yeah, but then, well, it doesn't come directly from, what I put on Twitter came from me. They know about the children, and they talked about it.
But I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, right? I mean, you do know what I'm saying. You shouldn't have, people across the world, it's in New York, it was always Melania. Like,
I don't give a
It's not about giving a
It's true. It's honestly, it's like, because it's honestly, I'm doing the same stuff that I did before. They cannot stand him. They know that I'm with him. They know that I'm.
But they felt badly for you before. Now that, you know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Okay. All that stuff came out. They feel bad for me. My polls went up. They said, "Oh my God, she's amazing. She's fantastic."
I absolutely love every sentiment, sentence, and word in that answer that Melania gave to this person who was secretly recording her. The only people who are first ladies that think about their legacy as a first lady are people who are completely and utterly unbearable. Who the hell cares about the legacy of the first lady? Do you guys even remember what Michelle Obama's job was when she was the first lady? It was, let's help kids who are morbidly obese not be morbidly obese. I know, stunning and brave, what a great cause, what a challenging cause, what an amazing cause. Michelle Obama, a freaking messiah to us all and an example for everybody as a first lady. Do you remember what George W. Bush's first lady's actual cause was? I don't even remember what George Bush's wife's name was, let alone what the stupid job that she had to do because it was non-controversial. Melania, I believe, is the anti-bullying job, but I haven't seen anything that has to do with anything related to that campaign, which, by the way, I am grateful for. Nobody cares about the pointless, demeaning cause that the First Lady has to take on and, like, do a show of about how she's fixing it, even though the problem that they're trying to address never actually gets addressed by them. Because, again, unless you're a media loser who's obsessed with politicians and their personal life, the cause of the First Lady doesn't matter. It could be teaching blind 8-year-olds to drive better when they're drunk, and I still wouldn't give two craps about it. The only time the First Lady's cause actually matters is when the president decides to assign them something that they have no business working on, like was the case with Hillary Clinton when she was somehow put in charge of healthcare. Or your husband gives them $1 billion, like what happened with my city, and they totally incinerate it, and there's no record of where that money went. Bill de Blasio and Bill Clinton, what is it with bills? God, you guys need to chill the hell out. Those are your wives, nobody elected them. If they ran in their own election, they would lose, they get slaughtered. One of them lost an election to a reality game show host, so proof is in the pudding, buddy. We don't want them in charge of anything actually policy related, and we don't want them in charge of any portion of the budget. They are not elected. They are the person who chose to marry you. Not impressive. Now, it's not just Melania Trump being on point about the idea that the First Lady needs to manufacture her own legacy and how ridiculous that is, that I agreed with these tapes. Her analysis of the family separation policy was also stellar in these tapes, again, where her friend was secretly recording her without her knowledge.
All these kids that I met, they are here in the shelters because they were brought by it through coyotes, the people, or trafficking, and that's why they put them in jail. And the kids that they go in shelters, and the way they take care of them, it's, you know, they even said, the kids, they say, wow, I will have my own bed, I will sleep on the bed, I will have a cabinet for my clothes. It's so sad to hear it, but they didn't have that in their own countries.
Right.
They sleep on the floor. They are, they
There's
are
nothing.
fed. They are taking care nicely there. But they are not with parents. It's sad. But when they come here alone or with coyotes or illegally, you need to do something.
Now, considering the big takeaway from these tapes, according to the media, is that Melania Trump doesn't care about the kids in cages, that she's just up in the White House or in Trump Tower, wagging her fingers, saying, separate the families, and laughing all the way home. It's pretty funny that if you actually listen to the tapes, she actually does express concern, and then she talks about some of the problems with reuniting these kids with their parents. Some of those problems being that these kids did not come over across the border with their parents. But hey, don't let the truth that's clearly evident in these secretly recorded tapes obscure the story that you want to write about these tapes, even if the only way you could come to the conclusion that Melania Trump is this evil person who hates the immigrant children is by cutting down her quote, removing it from all context, and playing it only in text, not in audio. Don't let that stop you from pushing your story. Melania Trump, totally evil, totally doesn't care about the kids in the cages.
Right.
And a lot of like moms and kids, they are taught how to do it. They go over and they say like, oh, we will be killed by gang member. We will be it's so dangerous. So they allow to stay here. Do you understand what I
do.
mean?
And they're the ones that are the bad ones.
Yeah, and they are not, it's not true that they would, you know what I mean? Some of them, they're using that lines that, they're not professional, but they're taught by other people what to say. to come over and to let them go to stay here, because they could easily stay in Mexico, but they don't want to stay in Mexico because Mexico doesn't take care of them the same as America does.
Now, this is also a very important and good point made by Melania Trump. Some of the people that are crossing the border with their children, claiming that they're doing so because their lives are in danger, are actually lying, and it is important to separate out those people from those who are actually in danger if they were to stay in their home country. And one of the ways that you know that these people are actually lying is because they're fleeing Central American countries, and instead of stopping on the many countries on the journey in between wherever they started and the United States, they often skip over and they try to come to the United States directly, which doesn't make a lot of sense, because let's say your life is in danger as long as you're staying in Honduras, then why can't you seek asylum or refugee status in the nation of Mexico or any of the other options in the region? Why is it you have to come all the way up to the United States if just getting out of Honduras is enough to protect your lives? Now, of course, there are individual instances where people fleeing a nation like Honduras, just making it to Mexico is not enough to guarantee those people's individual safety, but we can't pretend that none of these people are lying. And we can't say that as long as you say these proper words, we'll let you into the country, no questions asked, because everybody is going to take that long and dangerous journey with their children, risking their lives in order to lie to get into our country. We can't just let that happen. The policy of just letting these people roam free will actually end up costing significantly more lives than vetting them and showing that there are consequences for trying to deceive our immigration system.
Where I am, I'm working like a my ass off on Christmas stuff that, who gives a about Christmas stuff and decoration, but I need to do it, right?
Yeah, but 100%. You have no choice.
Now, of all the stupid tapes and all the stupid points that the media have tried to make off these tapes of somebody who was supposedly Melania Trump's friend secretly recording it so she could sell it to the media years later on the eve of an election, this one is my absolute favorite portion, because they're going to get mad at Melania Trump for finding it demeaning that just because she's a woman who happened to marry a guy who ended up being president, that she somehow is in charge of the Christmas decorations for the White House Christmas party. Absolutely ridiculous and stunning hypocrisy on behalf of CNN, getting upset about this and invoking the war on Christmas in order to justify their frustration with Melania Trump.
It's so interesting. I mean, one, there's to hearing her being hostile toward, decorating the White House for Christmas, I certainly doesn't jive with, the Fox whole idea. I mean, if we're talking about a war on Christmas.
Are we legitimately going to pretend that it's not insanely demeaning that the First Lady, the person who just happens to be married to the president, is in charge of the decorating and the gardening and the party throwing at the White House? And that Melania Trump, not being used to being in charge of these things because she wasn't married to a politician this whole time, finds this demeaning, and she finds the fact that people focus on the decorations that she chooses for this party to be a little bit absurd? We're seriously going to go with that. We're going to pretend that Michelle Obama probably wasn't feeling similarly about these job assignments when she was the first lady to Barack Obama. Michelle Obama was a lawyer. You think she likes doing all the Christmas decorations? She might, but let's take Michelle Obama out of it for a second. You think Hillary Clinton, who was trying to be the co-president while Bill Clinton was president, liked decorating for Christmas, like baking cookies and tending to the garden? Are we really going to pretend that the woman whose emails show that she literally wrote down on an email that she hates ordinary Americans enjoyed this role as the First Lady? Oh, well, okay, we're going to pretend that's the case. All right, just go on with it.
And then I do it, and I say that I'm working on Christmas, planning for the Christmas, and they said, "Oh, what about the children that they were separated?" Give me a break. Where they were saying anything when Obama did that?
I know.
I cannot go. I was trying to get the kid reunited with the mom. I didn't have a chance. It needs to go through the process and through the law.
And this is the supposed gotcha, the proof that Melania Trump just doesn't like those kids, although in context, she's clearly talking about the differential treatment that she gets as opposed to like a Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama was never asked, after being harassed by the media about her Christmas decorations, about anything related to policy, let alone anything related to the family separation policy, which of course is attributed to a court decision that happened during Barack Obama's presidency. In fact, Michelle Obama was so confident that the media wouldn't say anything to her that in one of her speeches about how Orange Man is bad, she actually invoked the family separation issue, even though most of the photos that we're seeing of kids being separated from their families, sleeping with those aluminum foil looking blankets inside what look like jail cells, are photos from 2014 when Barack Obama was president. This is supposedly the gotcha. This is the proof. Everything else where she clearly shows that she does care and that she was trying, and she has no reason to lie in a private conversation about this, by the way. Nope, that doesn't matter. This part where if you just cut off everything around it and read it out as a text, when you squint your eyes a little bit, this is the proof that Melania Trump doesn't care about those kids. This is it. This is the big thing in this story. This is the reason that the media are covering it, and this is what is plastered across Twitter, across the mainstream news, as the headline issue in this. And there's nothing here. Nothing whatsoever. Totally worthless story. This woman held on to these tapes for almost 2 years for nothing. She's got nothing. She's a garbage person. She's recording somebody that believed that she was her friend, and that just shows how crappy of a person that she is, that she thought she was going to debut this on CNN to rave reception by the media. That's really it. That's the Melania Trump tape story. That's it from start to finish. Those are what the people in the media were focusing on prior to the diagnosis of the president and the first lady with the Ronies. That's what they were hyping up as a huge story. A complete and total nothing based on stupidity. And when you actually listen to the tapes, you kind of start to like Melania Trump even more. Like, she's still a first lady, so I still do not care about this woman whatsoever. I have no interest in anything that she's going to do in her life going forward. I have no interest in anything that she's done previous to this in her past. I don't even care. But that's the story. Now, if you like this story, you like this content, you like this style of breakdown, then consider liking this video. If you really like it, then support me via the various support links. YouTube join last, Patreon subscribe star, take priority over that, way better than YouTube join. You can subscribe for more content, follow me on all my social media platforms, they are linked in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the Melania Trump secretly recorded tape recorder to the phone tapes that ruined her career but actually kind of make her seem pretty awesome and normal, and unlike other first ladies who are just politicians that are marrying up. Till next time.